Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 220, The Evil Queen. This episode aired on April 28th, 2013. It was written by Jane Espenson and Christine Boylan, and was directed by Gwyneth Horder-Payton. So all women were involved in this episode, which I think is really cool.
Hey, here for that.
Before we get into our chaos and chatting, and this is going to be fun.
Isn't it always?
I mean, it always is, but I have some fun stories for this one.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So before we get into that, let's do a synopsis for the Evil Queen. In the Enchanted Forest, Regina is hot on the trail of the bandit Snow White, but after a lead in a nearby village is fruitless, she hatches a plan that involves the Dark One's magic. He places a shape-shifting spell on her, allowing her to go out amongst the public without being detected and find Snow. When she's captured by the guards, Snow saves her and nurses her injury. She tells her about how she believes there's still good in the Queen. But when they happen upon the nearby village Regina had just destroyed, Snow takes back her sentiment. Regina realizes the people will never truly love her and accepts her moniker. Long live the Evil Queen. And in Storybrooke, plans for going back to the Enchanted Forest are coming to fruition, and Regina learns of the Charming's plan. She won't be put on display for them all, and takes Killian with her to distract the guard Maleficent, while she gets her trigger that will undo the entire curse, wiping Storybrooke from this realm, and killing everyone but her and Henry. However, Killian was already working with Greg and Tamara to capture Regina and take away her magic, so that they can fulfill their plans. Meanwhile, suspicious of Tamara's motives in Storybrooke, Emma takes Henry on a stakeout to see if they can find evidence that she's not as sincere as she appears to be. And to be fair, she's right.
Very true.
Yes. So this one's a roller coaster, in a different, we've seen other ones in the past where it's a lot is happening, but this one's more like an emotional roller coaster of Regina's identity crisis, but then also everything going on in Storybrooke.
It's almost like a chill roller coaster with just, random loops.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're kind of chill through a lot of it. You're just learning things, and then something happens. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just glad Hook's back.
Hook is back. So like I said, he is a main cast member for the rest of his time on the show now after this. And it was confirmed on the wiki that his very pronounced limp is because he broke his foot while filming The Outsider. So I was right. Ask. That was when he broke his foot, was while filming that final scene for The Outsider.
I was like, he's limping.
Yeah, he's not doing a great job of hiding that.
No, but then he did all the well, I don't know if he did all the stunts, but doing a lot of this stuff down there with Maleficent, which was another interesting time.
Yeah, the Maleficent zombie.
Yeah, it was a choice.
It was a choice. My joke is, I guess Kristen Bauer just wasn't available that week.
Let's just throw in more of our lovely, interesting CGI. It'll work. It did work, but
yeah. Well, I think you asked last time, what happened to the CGI budget, and I'm like, they're holding on to it for the last few episodes of the season. I'm like, this is why they held on to it for the zombie monster.
Is that what we're calling it?
I don't know what else to call that, honestly. It's because what's funny is that same screeching sound effect, we're going to hear that in the season 3 premiere for a vastly different creature. That everyone reuses the same sound effects. There's those canned sound effects you hear all the time. But it's just funny. I don't. Other than the fact of Kristen wasn't available, I don't know why they went with zombie monster. I don't know.
Why didn't they go back to the dragon?
Maybe that's too much CGI. I don't really.
That thing has some interesting CGI, having to put itself back together and everything.
Yeah, because kind of like the Hydra. I mean, the Hydra is when you cut off its head and more of it grow, and this one you hit her in the face and she just gets bigger.
Exactly.
I don't really know why they went with that, but
because they could have done just the dragon's head.
They could have.
It's not like they can do anything. It's been a little while.
Just a tad. This episode, like I said, this episode aired in 2013. So this episode aired a good 11 years ago. So at this point, it's just why? We're never getting the reason. We're just questioning because we feel like it.
Exactly. So I feel like I have 2 notes written down in these lovely chaos notes that just kind of explains the whole episode when it comes to Regina. And I just go, Regina with a riding crop, ... And then immediately, Jesus, evil queen, kill a whole village. That's the whole episode, I feel, in just those 2 notes.
Yeah. I loved her outfit in this episode, like her Evil Queen outfit. It's one of my favorites, and it's very similar, and it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar to the one she was wearing in The Outsider. In the one scene we do see her when she captures Belle. It's a good the long like velvet riding cloak is a good look for her.
Very good look for her. The riding crop just did me in just a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair,
which is fine. And Regina needs love, man. When Snow is dead, they will see my kindness. I'm like, baby, that's not how that works.
So the charred remains of their homes, I'm sure that'll be perfectly clear.
All these dead bodies do not add up to love and kindness.
No, not really. And like that after that one I wrote down, even if I hadn't looked it up before, based on that line alone, through the charred remains of their home, I'm sure that'll be perfectly clear. Based on that alone, I would have been able to tell this was written by Jen Espenson.
Oh, really?
It's Regina trauma and humor.
Lots of Regina trauma.
Lots of that. We're going to get more of that. Not so much. I mean, we're going to get some of it in the first part of season 3. We're going to get a lot of Regina trauma, or I guess Mills trauma in general, in the back half of season 3, which is going to be fascinating to watch. One of my favorite lines from the end of season 3. We're going to hear it, and it's going to be between Regina and Snow, and they're going to need to call on Cora's spirit. We'll get to the seance aspect. It's a weird seance. We're going to get to that later. But when we get to that episode, but Regina has this line to Snow is like, you officially have a less damning relationship with my mother than I do. And you killed her.
Oh, damn. That's damn. All I can think about though is that I don't, like I said, I don't know how much Charmed you've seen, but they call on Ghost quite often. In Charmed, of their own mother and grandmother quite often. They're just like, okay, we don't know the answer. Let's call Mom or Grams. It's so freaking funny. So that's all my brain goes to because I know it's Barbara Hershey, but it goes back to Rose. I can't help it. And of course, I had to write down for this. I'm too bi for this show. You put Lana and is it Colin?
Yeah, Colin.
In the same room together, that close together.
At that point, I just started yelling "Hooker Queen," which is not the name of their ship.
Okay, but can it be? That's so good.
It's such a good one. No, it's because the ship name is Hooked Queen, which I think is a little bit better. But it's just not Hooker. But there was
Hooker's so fun.
It is so much fun. It's so much funnier. But I found the clip from there was one of the interviews they did for San Diego Comic-Con leading into season 3. And the moderator asked if Regina possibly could have some love between her and Hook. Going forward, and like they just start going like, what would that ship be called? And they just have Lana yelling Hooker Queen, and then you have the rest of them chipping in with ideas of Captain Queen. Ginny offered Queen Hooker, which is a choice.
That's a choice.
But the answer was she politely declined to answer because at that point she already knew what they were doing.
That's fair. I had these two things lined up together as well because it's just the writing of this episode, of course. Before I wrote, finally, Emma is right about something, and then immediately the line, but your superpower has known to be unreliable.
I mean, it is unreliable, and Neil later on is like, you thought you had the thing with lies. I never bought it. Because she's wrong, I would say, about 85% of the time.
Yeah. I hate how likable Neil was in this episode. He was so likable in this episode, and I was, like, angry about it.
He was barely in it.
He was barely in it, but the few lines he had, I was like, oh, he's actually funny right now.
My favorite one when Henry knocks into the door and he goes, "Oh hell no, I taught her that."
I wrote that down. I was like, I loved that moment. And then I love how Emma's on the floor trying to pry it up after she explains herself, and then she looks up like, "Are you gonna help me?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, let me do that." Like
exactly, like a little help, possibly.
It definitely fits his personality. I may not like Neil as a person, but like he was. I guess I had my Teddy moment in this. I liked Neil for 5 seconds, but it's not gonna last.
This is what I say a lot. Like, I feel like the chemistry, as we see more of them together between Jen and Michael, comes through in the relationship and makes Neil more likable, in my opinion.
Okay, that would make sense.
Like, you can see, like, the two of them, like, had fun riffing off each other for that scene.
Yeah, and then I might have gotten a little excited when they did go down the elevator. I was like, is it dragon time?
Sadly, no.
Sadly, no. And I went, okay, I like this. Kind of spooky. And then, like, the things started happening in the form, and it did all the weird things, and it grew. And I'm like, okay, why are we doing this? Whose idea was this?
Because the writers decided they wanted to be visually dramatic instead of do something that makes sense, which is a common theme sometimes on this show.
I'm starting to pick up on that. It just took this long, which isn't too long if you actually look at it in retrospect. Like, it's only the second season.
Yeah.
It's just we have a lot more episodes than we tend to have now.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, this is the second season, but this is episode, I think the wiki said this is episode 42.
My God.
I think.
I've watched 42 of these?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
No, so that makes sense because this is episode 81. And considering we combined the last two episodes of the season 1 finale, 42 is exactly right.
That's hilarious. And all I can think is The Bear came out earlier this week of recording, and I had to work a lot. So I think I watched 2 episodes the night it came out, and we've been slowly trying to pick up an episode here or there. It's only 10 episodes. We're finishing tonight. I literally just finished an episode and have 2 left, and I'm just like, it's only 10 episodes. I need more. Mm-hmm. But then I get to sit here. But then it's also, I would love to be able to binge something like this. I'm like, it's so many episodes, and then I'm just, that's why I'm so excited for the next part of this is we have the finale. I get to watch 2 episodes instead of just 1.
You do get to watch 2 episodes. You had the same reaction when we got to the season 1 finale. You're like, I get to watch 2 episodes this week. And I was like, I technically get to watch 3 if we want to be real technical about it. Because watching it with the commentary is its own entirely different experience if you think about it. Especially because this is the first one, because when we get to, for the, like I said before, for technically it's for Straight On Till Morning is the one that has the commentary, and it's with Colin. And this would obviously be the first time he would ever have commentary. But it's with Colin and David H. Goodman, who I believe was the director for the finale. So that's going to be interesting because I've heard him talk about the show, and he's very articulate about the way that he talks about things. He's very specific about his process. So it'll be really interesting to hear what he has to say about the episode, especially that one.
I'm excited to find out because I enjoy him.
Yeah. He's a good time, and especially if you've listened to any podcast episode that is about an episode that had commentary, you will know Lauren writes down everything. Everything they say. It takes me an hour and a half to watch the commentary episodes.
Makes sense, though.
And that's just the one, like, and that's not an hour and a half both times. I watched, it takes me an hour to watch one episode because I pause, I write things down and stuff like that. But, like, between pausing and backing up to make sure I get everything correctly, I would say the 40-minute episode, it does take about an hour and a half to get through the entirety.
That's a lot of work, but I appreciate every moment of it.
Mm-hmm. It's worth it work.
I had that moment though with them being at is it bed and breakfast? Is that technically is it an inn? Is it a bed and breakfast? Granny's?
What Granny's? Yeah, technically it's a B&B.
Okay. I was like, I want to make sure I'm right about that. The whole time, all I could think is I'm like, Granny and Red probably hear this whole conversation.
Probably.
They know everything.
Yeah.
They're the best secret keepers.
Mm-hmm. If you want, which is a joke, which is funny because like one of the jokes that was like in like the RP, the fanfiction community was like, if you want something to get out, you tell either Snow or Granny. That was always the joke, was Granny was a huge gossip. Because a lot of us had that same headcanon for some reason, but she really is probably one of the biggest secret keepers of the entire town.
I mean, she kept Red's secret for how long? From herself?
From her entire life. Let's see, age-wise, where do I put that in the timeline? Let's just go through all of us. Join the Patreon. You want to see a timeline that builds as we record episodes? That's how that works.
I was like actually sitting there trying to figure out where it goes in the timeline watching this episode. I was like, wait a minute, this should be here.
I'll put it in when we're done recording. I meant to put it in before after you finish watching and I forgot. Let me find. Figure Red and Snow are the same age. Let's figure that out. She was 19 is my best guess. Mm-hmm. When she found out.
Oh, wow. That's young.
Yeah, that's my best guess. Because like, I'm basing that off of Snow being 18 during The Heart is Lonely Hunter.
Yeah.
So.
And then I did write, oh shit, in all caps when Snow walks up on all the villagers. I was like, oh my God, we're having this happy moment, but this isn't how this is supposed to go. I was also, I had that dumb moment of happiness of like, they're getting along. Regina finally is figuring, like, something's getting through the Regina, and then I'm like, fuck, you killed all these people, man. Like, you ruined it.
That entire, like, that speech, like, the scene with them in the hut while she was, like, nursing her wound, and then afterwards, I'm like, the entire time, I'm like, why does this read as the beginning of a Snow Queen fanfic?
Oh, it does.
It really does.
I have never read fanfiction, but I see what you mean.
No. But like that, I could like this kind of dynamic, like where she like, despite the fact that Regina doesn't look like Regina to her, she knows on some deeper level that it's her. I mean, obviously she figures it out by the end of the episode, but it's like this reads as the beginning of a Snow Queen fic.
Yeah, it was really like the wishful thinking that I think that Regina does still have good in her, and I'm like, it's just gonna take us a little while to get back to it.
Yeah, she does have good in her. We'll see it eventually.
I wrote down so much double crossing.
All of it.
So much.
Like, here's the thing. Killian upfront tells her what's gonna fucking happen.
Yeah.
He tells her, they caught me, they wanted me to, gain your trust and do this and betray you, but, I think it's better if I work with you. And then she's surprised when he betrays her.
I mean, he's an honest man.
But, like, I say this all the time, is he's not evil because he's not like an antagonist. He's dark anti-hero because pirate, because he sides himself with whomever is going to get him where he wants to go. And right now he thinks it's them because he wants to kill Rumple.
It's like starting to realize there's not like pirate just feels very morally gray from the beginning for anything at this point. Because if you look back at a lot of pirate media, like not all of them are evil.
Yeah.
They're just against capitalism.
Exactly. They're just not following the letter of the law, which isn't always the correct way of going about things anyway.
Exactly. Man, I'm about to get back into pirates. Look what you've done to me.
Oops.
You're like, I'm not sorry.
Okay.
So all that coming with the beans, obviously, because it was foreshadowed. Like, we knew that was happening. And just one of my favorite lines, nobody steals from a dwarf. And I'm like, Leroy!
Except for every single time they steal from a dwarf.
Every single time, but I just love Leroy.
I've lost track of how many times something's been stolen. Well, okay, the diamonds at the beginning of the season. Henry stole dynamite. What else? Like this. Like, these people steal axes all the time. Like, no one steals from a dwarf except for everyone else on this show.
And my last note that I'm sure you have your own opinions about is just, I'm having trouble with the science versus magic.
Yeah, the science of metal and machinery inside this cuff is blocking your magic and not work. And like, I'm like, what? That's not how science works. But okay, Greg tries. He really, I can say he tries. Because what's funny is, and we'll see this as like the next few episodes go on, like. They're claiming that, like, that I think their group is called Believers, I think, because they're following this home office on blind faith alone, and who's at the head of it is fucking hilarious because they like their whole organization is not doing what they think it's going to do, but the person who's running it knows that they can get them what they want. And I can't say any more about it because it'll become clear. It'll become clear like in like the last 5 minutes of the finale.
Oh, fuck.
I'm sorry.
At least I only have to wait a few days because I literally watched my episodes today. So I'm like, I only have to wait a little while and I'll be watching and it'll be okay.
Within the next 7 days, you will know what I'm talking about. But like, I think the fact that the group is called Believers and the last 2 episodes are called Second Star to the Right and Straight On to Morning kind of tells you where we're headed.
Yeah, I figured that part out.
Yeah. So they're very much like they're going on blind faith that whoever's giving them this technology and all this is for their cause, and like they could not be wronger. It's because it's real. Because once you find out what the end game is hilarious.
Oh my god!
Because like it just I'm like y'all are idiots. That's what it turns into. Is these two are the biggest fucking morons ever.
I'm okay with this. Is it gonna be me like yelling though? What the fuck, Lauren? Why? It tends to be.
Probably.
It usually is.
Usually, because the next episode is more what happens once Regina has been captured, and then the final episode is a lot more about their end game, and where they go from there.
Good times.
It's a great time. It's the lovely chaos that is the season 2 finale of Once Upon a Time.
I'm enjoying myself. Don't get me wrong, but there are times that I'm like side-eyeing this show and being like, "What are you doing?" Like it's so enjoyable, but what are you doing?
Luckily, though, the next episode is the one that comes with. I'll send you the link to Lana's new Fantasyland commercial because it aired specifically on the night of the first part of the finale. Because even though they considered it a 2-part finale, it aired on 2 different weekends. Which is the only time they've ever done that. Every other time they've done a 2-part finale, it's been 2 hours, 1 night, because I think that makes more sense, in my opinion. But I have a story time with that also from just to show you how insane I am. But
I think I know already.
At this point, we've been doing this for a year. I think you're aware.
I'm aware.
just a little bit, but it's...
Because I think we were only, like, friends for about 6 months before we even decided to do this, so it's been...
Was it only 6 months?
I think so.
Dang.
Did you meet me before or after Christmas?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
Because like because I was looking at some of the questions that that Regal sent us for the July coffee chat. Which, if you're in our Patreon, I mean, I know this is coming out in September, but if you're in our Patreon, we love Regal's questions. We love them dearly. Yes. But please, for the love of God, someone else send us questions so that she doesn't feel compelled to do this every single month.
We love doing it.
We love doing it. We love doing the coffee chat. We love her questions. We'll keep answering her questions, but please do not rely on her to give us questions. Please give us questions if you're in our Patreon. But one of the questions reminded me, because she'll ask us more about like the creation of the podcast, but it's making me think. I'm like, I know that we met on one of Jess's lives on TikTok, either Jess or Sammy. And
I think it was Jess, because I think I met Sammy through you.
Okay.
I think.
That makes sense.
Yes.
I don't know anymore.
I don't remember.
None of us know anymore. But I think, because I just don't remember when that was, though. Because I know that I was still in the thick of grad school and my last job.
I know that I met Jess through a live near Yule, because she was showing me some cool Yule stuff.
Gotcha.
And then that's how I met Jess. So I met Jess almost a long while. It's been a while then. Because if we're at a year, I can't math. It's okay.
No, math. We've known each other for a long time. Let's go with that.
Let's just go with that. I just don't remember how I met you. All I know is I met you, and here we are.
Yeah, that's all we got. That's all we know. That's fine. It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Everything's on fire.
I know, right? As I'm sitting here sweating.
We're doing great. So let's do some fun facts, and then I'll go through my chaos notes, because I have some things to talk about. So I did already say about Hook's or Colin's limp, I should say, being due to him breaking his foot while filming The Outsider. Apparently, Henry's operation for keeping Storybrooke secret, Operation Praying Mantis. Well, his logic of, it's something that hides in plain sight makes perfect sense. That was also apparently the name of a U.S. Army attack on Iran in 1988.
Oh my!
So there you go.
Okay.
Apparently, there was meant to be a scene when after Regina gets the trigger, and of her walking out of the mines, saying, "Rest in peace, Captain. Thanks for everything." Meaning she would have assumed that she killed him, which is kind of bleak. But also, this is what I say about him all the time: is like, you're welcome to maintain him as your favorite character, because this man is literally a cockroach.
I'm okay with that.
Like, he says all the time, he's like, the one thing I excel at is surviving. Like, he's a cockroach. Even when he dies, he doesn't stay down.
Which is funny for me, though, because it just makes me think of Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, it's similar.
Pirates don't like to die. They
you
just
really
keep going.
You just can't kill him. He doesn't, even if you succeed, you don't succeed. He comes back. Pops up out of the ground like a daisy. It's a Mulan reference.
It is. My brain just took a minute to make the connection. In my defense, I've had a day.
No, that's fair. So apparently, in that scene with Regina and Hook in her office, just get a little bit closer. Just a little bit closer. Just a little bit closer. The way that they frame that, you can see the back of his head very clearly when they kind of pan, they do like the side to side thing, which makes it very clear that he's wearing a clip-on earring. I just kind of find that funny. Like, it's fun. I don't have anything against the fact that he is wearing a clip-on earring, because quite frankly, like, I know the writers and everyone joke that he's so committed he cut off his own hand. He didn't.
Yeah.
But, like, piercing your ear is also a bit of a commitment. So, like, I think it's okay that you let him just have a clip-on.
My brain's just going to, like, oh, yes, piercings are commitments, because I get, not me always just using needles constantly for piercings and tattoos. Those are permanent. I mean, I'm realizing that.
They are in fact permanent, and there was no guarantee of how long the show was going to go on. So, like, I mean, if he did only have it in for the one season, like, that'd be one thing. It probably would close up eventually, but, like, he would have had to have it.
Would have been cooler.
6 years.
Would have been cooler.
It would have been cool. It would have been cooler. But yeah. What's funny is, so I saw a video recently about the actor who played Darth Maul, about the reason why Darth Maul had a cartilage piercing.
Oh.
Apparently, he got it done because he figured he wasn't supposed to be on set in the amount of time he would have needed for it to heal, so he could take it out. But he got called in for a makeup test, I guess, earlier than he thought, and they did the makeup with the earring. And he said to George Lucas, he's like, I just had this done. I can't take it out yet, but by the time I'm ready to film, I can take it out. And apparently George Lucas was like, Darth Maul can have an earring. That's fine. So he just left it in. So that's why Darth Maul has an earring.
Well, George Lucas said it, so it must be true.
George Lucas also said that there's no underwear in space. Have you not seen that interview?
Apparently not. I saw the one about Vietnam, but not that.
It was Carrie Fisher was complaining about how George Lucas really told, because I guess she wasn't wearing a bra, like they didn't give her a bra for one of her costumes, and apparently the response was George Lucas said that there's no underwear in space.
I can't.
They're not all gems.
All right then. On to the next thing.
On to the very last one. This is less fun fact and again more blooper brain rot. Either way, it's funny.
That's okay. I get to see those soon.
You do get to watch it soon. Patreon will get the exclusive reaction video, which we can record at the same time we record the finale. We'll just cut that out as a clip. Mm-hmm. But so Regina's line on the docks at the very beginning when she says jail cell, I don't think so. Supposedly, I don't know how much I believe this was the actual line, but this is what's in the bloopers. Supposedly, the original line was, they want to put me on display like some evil panda. I don't think so. It's... Honestly, I wouldn't put it past the writers. I don't know if that was actually the line. This is from an interview that I cannot find where Lana said supposedly that was the original line. But that does live on in the bloopers of her saying that with a very heavy Brooklyn accent, and it is one of the best ones ever. And it was one of the ones that when I was doing a compilation one-liners things for the amateur ADR, people requested I do that, and I tried real hard, but I'm like, there is no way that I do this that it doesn't sound vaguely offensive, so we're not putting it on the internet.
Vaguely offensive?
It just doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth with that heavy of an accent.
Which is very, very funny for where you're from.
Because it sounded caricature-y. I couldn't get it to sound natural. That's the thing, is the Bronx accent, that is kind of ingrained in my body, at least the slight, the vowels and the way that I say some things. When I try to put on an accent, do it really hard, it sounds very caricature-y, and it just doesn't sound
like when most people try to do a Boston accent.
Exactly. When you start going we pack the car, all that, when you start doing all that stuff, it sounds very over exaggerated, which works for certain mediums. I didn't feel the need to put that in a voiceover video.
No, but when the recording stops, I've got to hear this.
Oh yeah, no, I'll do it for you later.
Okay.
When we are not recording.
We are not recording.
Not everything needs to go on the internet.
No, not everything needs a recording.
No, I was saying this yesterday on a live that because I do the singing live. Sometimes I'll just do karaoke and people just can send requests if they want to. And some people, a lot of stuff gets requested that I don't know, or I what I call car songs, when I'm there's a song that I know. I think I could sing it fairly well. I sing it in my car all the time, but I'm not putting it on the internet. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to explain this concept of people request stuff, some things, some stuff from Hamilton. I'm 98% of that soundtrack is a car song. There are two songs I feel comfortable doing on this app.
That is also not easy. Hamilton is.
It's not.
I sing it constantly because, it's Hamilton, but at the same time, I'm no one needs to hear me try this.
No, I was doing Satisfied in my car yesterday. Oh, no one can hear me. I messed up a million times. I do the Schuyler Sisters, all that other stuff. But on the internet, I'm comfortable doing You'll Be Back and Dear Theodosia. That is it.
Well, because then you go into stuff like that, though, and Satisfied, you're good. But Schuyler Sisters, all that, it's so many people. And there's a lot of people. Jump from just one to the next, because you can't help it.
Yeah, well, because here's the thing: is if you're me, I have a playlist on YouTube Music of various karaoke tracks, because that's me. But I have one specifically that's Sing With Me's, where someone does the other parts, so I only have to do one of the parts. So I have a Schuyler Sisters one that's just I think the only part I'd have to do is Angelica's.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here singing everybody because
I mean, I do that too. Well, that's when my moderators be like, "Dude, we don't talk about Bruno." I'm like, okay, I love y'all. This is a 5-part madrigal chorus.
Yeah, no, that one's... I really did love when that came out, though, and everybody's just oh my god, this is so amazing. I love how everything comes together. And I'm have y'all ever watched a musical?
No, the answer is no.
Because that's just musicals.
Yeah,
That's all
exactly.
Miranda. I can say his
Lin
name.
Manuel Miranda.
Thank you. That's all he did.
Exactly. Like that's you can layer these things and it doesn't sound like a cacophony. It sounds cool. That's how music works.
Yeah.
But so my chaos notes, Regina at the very beginning. Thank you, Berkeley. I can see that. Like I always say, Regina might be evil, but she knows the names of her henchmen.
She does.
Which comes up again later when like she, with Rivers and the other guy, I
hired you. I did this. I did that. Oh my god.
I hired you. No, I had you flogged for tardiness. Like how would I know this? Like those is this making you want to help her anymore? No.
But let's cut off her head. Like there's no rule of law.
No, none at all. The best part of that was another blooper thing of like the front shot of them bringing her towards the podium. The shackles that they use, I'm guessing, were made out of plastic. I would assume they're not using real like metal shackles on the show. And so at one point, just have Lana's like, "I broke the shackles," and so she's like, goes, "I'm free," and then she pretends to punch them out and escape.
The whole the whole process between her and Snow, though, like, I was angry. I was very angry.
Yeah. I mean, I do love that she passes out as soon as she realizes that it's Snow that saved her. She's like, "Oh hell no."
Like, no, I'm going to go back to sleep. Never mind. This is...
Nope. None of this. Not happening. But I do love the juxtaposition of Regina, at least at the very beginning of the episode before she gets the shape-shifting spell, although I have my rant about his thing of, like, it took your mother months to learn that. Like, dude, how long did you know her?
Apparently a long time.
Apparently months. It's very unclear. But I love the juxtaposition of young Regina kind of still peeking through the Evil Queen facade at this point, because, like, especially at the very beginning, with the way she's speaking with the deepened voice and all that. When she says kill them all and all that other stuff, like she's at the point in the timeline where we would assume she kind of has everything figured out, but it's the fact of like she's telling him like, teach me my mother's shape-shifting spell, and like you can hear her voice is a little lighter when she's in private with Rumpel. Like she's still leaning on him for support, so it's still a little bit of like young Regina mannerisms, even though she's taken on the facade of the Evil Queen and doesn't really kind of come to fruition until the very end of the episode when she says the queen is dead, long live the Evil Queen. Like,
it's like we're watching her transitionary period.
Exactly. This is a big turning point for her. And I've gotten asked before, like, what I think, like, the Evil Queen turning point for her is. And I'm like, I feel like it is that exact moment of, they'll never love me, the queen is dead, long live the Evil Queen. But I also would say probably a big turning point for her is when she realizes that she can never get Daniel back from 205. That would be my guess. It's like the biggest turning point, like the most specific. I feel like there's a lot of little things throughout the way that, like, chip away at her resolve until finally she's just had enough.
It's a fun time, though. Fun time.
It is a fun time.
Lots of Regina trauma.
But I don't know if you picked this up, because it's a small thing, but this is a small detail that I love.
Okay.
Rumpel's price for using the shapeshifting spell on her is cutting off trade with King George's realm.
Yes, I did catch that. I was like, ooh, here we go.
And she's like, King George, why? He's like, I need him bankrupt. What's it to you? She's like, it's like, fine. Time is of the essence. Because this is like, this is the small detail. This is the catalyst of the butterfly effect of she cuts off trade, which causes the events of Tiny. They need money, which causes them to vie for Midas's attention. James dies. Rumpel procures David to fill his place. David meets Snow. Everything happens the way that it's supposed to.
So, Rumpel's just playing God.
Basically, he's playing chess with everybody, and he's like, everyone's doing what he needs them to do. And it's just, it's these small details, though, that like they throw in here every once in a while, and I'm like, that is so good.
Well, and then it makes you realize how powerful he actually is. Yes, we know he's the Dark One. He has all this power. He has foresight, all these things. But, like, it's those tiny moments that you're like, this motherfucker is powerful. And why he doesn't want to give that up. Because he's not just powerful, he has a lot of control.
That he does. Because we saw, like, at the very beginning, at this point, he's, I guess, learned to wade through the different pieces of what the future is going to look like and sift through, like, what can be from what will be. Because, like, we saw at the very beginning when he got the power the first time of foresight, like, he's like, I can't understand it. It's all a jumble. And she's like, in time, you'll learn. And, like, at this point, he pretty much knows if this happens, then everything else will happen the way that it's supposed to.
Exactly. Because
his thing of, I think at one point, I don't remember which season it is, we see this little interaction between the two of them. Regina tries to basically to insinuate that she can help him escape the jail cell, and he's like, I'm exactly where I want to be. Because he knows that's where he needs to be. He knows. I do love Regina's logic of, I can be the hero, we'll get away safely first, everyone else dies. The end.
Yeah.
It's great logic.
Yep.
But Henry's like, I told you, the very, very heartbreaking thing. He was like, why would you tell me any of this? And she's like, because I don't have anyone else to talk to. She doesn't. Like, she's got Henry. I mean, Killian's back for a few seconds, but like, and she really doesn't see herself as the villain in kind of both timelines, I would say. Like, especially at the very beginning when she goes like they only call me the evil queen because of her. She's the real villain. And in this case, she's like, they're the villains. They're keeping us apart. Like, she doesn't see herself as the villain. She's the hero in her own story.
Yeah.
But
aren't we all?
I think that's how most people operate. It's like no one thinks they're the villain in someone else's story. I'm sure we're all the villain.
Oh,
in
I am
someone's
definitely
story.
the villain in other people's stories.
Absolutely are, and like that's just kind of something we have to get used to.
In that.
At some point, we've all been the villain in someone's story. But I did love that the first time before she does the memory wipe, the first time that she walks up to him, Henry just says, "What are you doing here?" And the second time he sees her after she does the memory wipe, he starts with, "Mom, what are you doing here?" I find that distinction very interesting.
Because that's his mom.
That's his mother. And Snow says that at the beginning. I said 5 different names first. Snow says that at the beginning. Like, she's still his mother despite all the horrors. So at least some people are picking up on that.
Like, I know she's evil and she did a lot of things to Snow, but at least this episode does put into perspective just how evil she is. Yes, she cursed all these people and all these things happened. She's killed a couple of wow, I'm saying this. She killed a couple of people, but like the whole village, that's a whole nother level of evil. So, God, I have problems. Like, she killed a couple people.
There's a line in season 4 where some characters, I guess, they're just trying to basically just egg her on basically to get her to do something, and they just go like wasn't there a time when you killed every villager in the Northwoods, or was it the South?
I'm going to continue to believe she is morally gray. There's good in there somewhere.
I mean, no, there is. You'll see a lot of the good in her in the next season, and which is even funnier. For those of you, I mean, if you've watched the clip that associated this episode, you'll have seen the little red board above my head. Katie has, since we're recording this 2 weeks before our podcast anniversary, Katie has gotten me a Burger of the Day board. Because I love the Burgers of the Day from Bob's Burgers, and I have thoughts for the episode we're recording next.
You're welcome.
I have thoughts, but I'm making little Once Upon a Time based puns, and not really puns, but more of the burger is the title of the once episode, and then something else. I had a point. Where was I going with this?
I don't know. I'm not in your brain.
Which Burger of the Day was I talking about? Hang on, because I've already done a bunch of them. I've already done them all the way through season 3. I had a point.
Wow, you've been busy.
Yeah, I did them all the way through season 3.
Lauren will post these to our Instagram. By the way, we're on Instagram.
We are on Instagram.
We just need to make this clip and put it out immediately and be like, by the way, Lauren has a new fun toy.
Lauren has... Well, Katie has unleashed chaos by giving this to Lauren, basically.
As one should.
Oh, this is what I was thinking of. So there's going to be one for season 3. So currently for the Evil Queen, if you haven't seen it on the Instagram, the Evil Queen one is the Evil Queen burger comes with an identity crisis, which is true. Valid. Is very valid. The one for Save Henry is the Save Henry burger, comes with no regrets. And that will make plenty of sense when we get there.
I can't wait.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. I can't wait.
But yeah, I've done them all the way through season 3. Alrighty. So what did you rate this episode?
Okay. So I gave plot and character 8.
Okay.
That was good plot. There was just some the weird Maleficent thing was interesting. I was really hoping for a dragon again because Maleficent.
Yeah.
Personal, it's a 7, so I gave it a 23. Not bad. It's not bad.
Not at all.
I enjoy Regina with the writing crop. I enjoy getting Killian. I enjoy many aspects of it, but it fell a little flat.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
So I gave this one a 9 for plot and a 9 for character, because this one, it's Regina focused backstory and really central story as well. Like the B plot of this really was the Greg and Tamara thing, which will be more of an A plot.
Which is such a weird.
It's weird. No one's plans make any sense in this episode. Like, let's be real here. No one's plans make any sense.
None.
But it lost a couple points. Just, I think, I don't even know why it lost the points it did. I couldn't. This isn't a 30 because it's got a 10 for personal, so it's got a 28. Like, it's not a 30 worthy episode. Like I always say, I can't always explain what is a 30. I know it when I see it. So I just, in good conscience, couldn't give this 10s for character and personal. My guess is the timeline of this whole thing, because Rumple has a line at the end that I already have a maid, promising young girl, actually. And this is early on in the Bandit Snow timeline, so I'm like, stop fucking with Belle's timeline already, because I don't know where to put it anymore.
Yeah.
Every episode, it's something different. I have no idea where to put it.
That's when you just wish you could just contact the writers and go, please tell me you have something written somewhere to help me with this. Like, I'd help.
I refuse to believe no one had a timeline for these characters. Like, I refuse to believe that they had nothing.
I feel like maybe they had timelines for everybody else, and they were like, let's just fit Belle in where we can.
Well, because that's a common thing, I feel like, as the seasons go on, is, like, there will be a Belle-focused episode that's more of a, like, let's find a way to connect Belle into the story so Emily has something to do. But it's, like, never really... doesn't always make a ton of sense at the end of the day. The one from season 4, I mean, yeah, it's Once Upon a Time. The one from season 4 is so far outside of the timeline, I feel like it's okay, but it makes other things make no sense when we get there, because there's a whole portal situation with that one, and I'm like, if there's no way this portal all the portals. Yay. No, because someone goes through a portal and ends up in our world like 2 years before everything happens. I'm like, unless this portal goes through time, this is impossible. Unless this portal moved through time as well, because everything that had happened happened at least a decade before the curse. So
just had my whole thing of like science versus magic in this, and time travel and paradoxes, and oh my god.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your comments on the season 3 finale.
Because like you and I have discussed time travel before and how it's not a simple thing, and I know this is a magical world and we've got magic in the mix, but like, to move through time, you also have to move through space.
Exactly.
We are on a moving rock.
To be fair, the Enchanted Forest is an entirely different plane of existence.
But if you're going to be landing in this realm, it's still okay. My brain does not have the capacity.
To be fair, this is a case of we're going to go with because magic, because
we're going to have to.
Most of the portals, their operation is think of where you want to go and you end up there. Mm-hmm. That's how their portals work. So, but this one portal that didn't, so I'm just imagining this character imagined herself only a few years before everything goes to hell. Mm-hmm. Because that's the only explanation for why she ends up in like in 1981, I think is the time card they give us, when she ends up in Boston. So we'll see. But this is my thing. This is why I also say that everything that happens with Rumpel at the very beginning of his timeline is about 200 years before everything else, because we're going to see where Bay landed after he went through the portal. That's in the next episode. He's in the 1800s.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
Yes.
That's the answer to this.
That's the answer, is wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the season 3 finale, because
that's a ways away.
It's a ways away. We're gonna get there
near Christmas.
November, December is my guess.
Yeah, that'll be my guess.
Well, because I'm trying to think of, because at this point we're a little earlier than when we started. Okay, wait. We're gonna start season. We're going to start season 3 the week of our podcast anniversary. So, to be fair, we're going to start season 3 almost exactly a year after we started season 1, to be fair.
We should make a cake.
Be good. But, so to be fair, with the breaks we took over that first couple of months, we did end up with the season 1 finale right before the holidays. So, yeah, I would say, probably December is when we're going to get to the season 3 finale. If we take the same amount or less breaks.
This will be, damn. But we're having so much fun. This is now a full year of this.
Yeah, well, because at this point, we only have 2 planned breaks currently. Currently. I mean, that may change, but, and our bank shouldn't go down because we already have specials planned anyway.
And we only really take breaks around Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. So barring those 3 weeks.
And to be fair, Halloween's a Thursday this year, so we really don't really need to take a break if we don't want to.
Yeah, we don't have to. So
we wanted to take off that.
Need, for sure, 2 breaks.
Yeah. And then we'll see how we feel in January.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then we have my birthday.
Yes. And we have your birthday. I don't currently have plans to go away in January. We'll see if that changes, but.
I'll cross my fingers it changes, because then you go to Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 5, Episode 11, Can't Buy Me Math, and Episode 12, The Militarian Candidate. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our book club, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.